Only by fixing one joint can you whip the second joint to generate incredible speed. Today, we'll focus on how to serve with heavy spin. A lot of players ask how to develop power in their fingers and wrist. For perspective, my own wrist conditioning involves 10 to 15 kilograms of weight. If your serve lacks spin, it's likely not your technique, but a lack of strength. Using grip trainers, dumbbells, and other weighted exercises will build your hand strength. Without sufficient strength, 100 technical tips won't get you the desired result. So, you must prioritize strength training for your hands. Also, don't fall for the myth that using your wrist causes injury. Injury comes from overexerting a weak muscle, not from proper training. Now for point 2, why do our side spin backspin serves lack spin? For many players, the problem is the racket angle, it's too open at contact. To generate maximum spin, you must brush the very bottom of the ball. Brushing like this creates heavy backspin, but it's a pure backspin serve. For a side spin backspin serve, you still need a strong backspin component. Many players attempt this serve, but the ball comes out with no spin. You might feel like you're brushing the bottom, but in reality, your racket face is too vertical, not flat enough. So, when serving this ball, you must maintain a relatively flatter racket angle. Even with this flatter angle, the serve is very spinny and will cause your opponent to push it into the net. A common misconception is thinking the racket is vertical at impact because of the follow-through. The contact is actually made with a flatter racket face, which then turns upright. You have to rotate your racket face through the motion. As long as there's a slight tilt, you will generate side spin. It won't prevent the ball from curving. Even a racket face this flat won't stop the curve. Just a slight angle is enough to create side spin. Therefore, keep your racket face slightly flatter, then focus on brushing and accelerating to generate massive spin. For amateurs, a great serve isn't about one single trick. It's about integrating multiple key elements to improve its quality. Next point, how to get more spin on the side spin backspin. I noticed a junior I was coaching had an issue with his wrist rotation. Watch carefully and tell me which rotation is correct. The first way, or the second way. Many of you guessed right, but most amateurs execute it incorrectly. The mistake is that on contact, the wrist moves in a straight downward line. Our motion uses an arc. We brush the bottom of the ball with a curved path. This is arc-based friction. Many amateurs just chop straight down from top to bottom. Most players lack this wrist rotation. Watch in slow motion, my wrist is clearly turning. They use a fixed angle, coming straight down. That's why the serve isn't very spinny and doesn't have that deceptive float. So, for left side spin, your wrist needs to rotate through contact. My feeling is that at contact, the inside of my wrist isn't facing forward the whole time, which is a common amateur mistake. As I make contact with the ball, my wrist has an upward motion. You'll feel this upward wrist snap even more on a side spin topspin serve. From the backswing to contact, my wrist is actually moving upwards. Let me demonstrate a side spin backspin serve. See that upward wrist action? On a side spin topspin, that upward motion is even more pronounced. This is an absolutely critical detail. The wrist is down in the backswing, moves forward to the ball, and finishes by snapping upward. It's this path, not just down and forward. Most amateurs are missing that final wrist snap. Nailing that wrist snap will increase your spin dramatically. Even on backspin, you need that snap. Feel that sharp thwack on contact. Without it, if your wrist just moves forward, the spin will be significantly weaker, even with the same force. This principle applies to all spin serves, for both penhold and shakehand grips. Okay, for our third key point, let's talk about the forearm. When you play any stroke, forehand or backhand, do you feel your forearm accelerating to generate speed? Let's apply this concept of forearm acceleration to our serve. Watch these two serves and tell me which one has more spin. The first one. The second one. The second one. Why was the second one spinnier? It's because I isolated my forearm from my upper arm, which allows for acceleration. In the first serve, my upper arm and forearm moved as one unit, which prevents any real speed up. The second serve works because I keep my upper arm and elbow stable and accelerate only the forearm. To generate speed, you must stabilize one joint while accelerating another. This is the Nunchaku Principle. Only by fixing one joint can you whip the second joint to generate incredible speed. See how the second section becomes much faster? If the whole thing moves together, it's slow. Obviously, the nunchaku hits faster and harder than a single stick. In table tennis, higher speed equals higher quality. Although the whole arm moves in sync, when you're learning, consciously focus on accelerating just your forearm. Most amateurs focus too much on the fingers and wrist. Try stabilizing your upper arm and elbow and just swing your forearm. Watch this, I'll lock my wrist and fingers completely. Even with just my forearm, the serve is still very spinny. That shows you the importance of forearm acceleration. The problem is when players are told to use their wrist. They forget about their arm and lose all that power. The result is a serve with some spin, but not heavy spin. By combining all these elements, your serve's quality will exceed your current level. So, how do you accelerate the forearm? Start by consciously keeping your upper arm still, using your elbow as a pivot point, and swinging your forearm downwards. Now, combine that forearm acceleration with the wrist rotation we just discussed. The spin will be immense. Forearm acceleration isn't about muscling the ball. The harder you force it, the less spin you'll get. When you use brute force, your motion slows down. It's like wiping a table. If you press too hard, you move slowly and cover less area. The lighter and more relaxed you are, the faster your brushing frequency can be. The feeling in table tennis should be a soft catch of the ball on the rubber, followed by acceleration, not a hard impact that makes the ball fly away. Practice feeling the ball sink into the rubber. You need that bite. At contact, you want to caress the ball into the rubber before snapping through it, not just hit it hard. The harder you hit, the quicker it leaves, and the less you can brush it. So, first find that feeling of letting the ball sink in, and only then execute the sharp acceleration. This will elevate both the speed and spin of your serve. Elite athletes master this relationship between relaxation and explosion. A better player is often more relaxed, with a more explosive and perfectly timed acceleration. Next, let's discuss finger and wrist mechanics. Do you get more spin by squeezing with all 5 fingers? Or by focusing pressure on specific fingers like the thumb and index? Similarly, do you generate more power by moving your body and arm together, or sequentially? We've confirmed this with world champion level coaches. Sequential force is more powerful. So, what's the sequence? Does the arm lead the body, or does the body lead the arm? Because the motion is so fast, it looks simultaneous, but there is a sequence. Watch my backspin loop in slow motion. You'll see the body initiates the movement, which then drives the arm. We hesitate to teach it this way because players often exaggerate the delay, making the movement disjointed and hard to time. The delay is minuscule. It's like telling someone to lead with the upper arm. They might end up using only their forearm and forget the upper arm entirely. In slow motion, you can see the sequence clearly. The body must start first. Your serve works the same way. For a shakehand grip, the main pressure points for the serve are the thumb, index finger, and the web of your hand. Try this drill. Lift your back 3 fingers completely off the racket handle. Just feel what that's like. The feeling is completely different. It gives your serve more finesse and spin. So, lift the back 3 fingers and focus on pinching the blade with your thumb, index finger, and the web of your hand to feel the force. I'll tell you, it's not easy to serve this way, but it's an excellent drill to find the right pressure points. Can you feel where the force is coming from now? Yes, because you have no other choice. Practice this way. Penholders don't need this drill as much, since the left side spin is a natural strength of the grip. Shakehand is less suited for it. So, shakehand players, feel the force from your thumb and index finger by opening your back 3. Once you get that feeling, return to a normal grip. You'll immediately feel a clearer sense of pressure from those specific fingers. After doing this comparison, your other fingers will naturally relax and just rest on the handle. Alright, let's talk about body weight and center of gravity. Relying on just your arm will only get you to 60 to 70% of your potential. To serve with real pace, emergency, and spin, you must use your body. Let me explain the importance of the body's center of gravity. Why do we drop our weight? Watch my center of gravity. If I just drop my weight, even with no wrist or finger action, the ball immediately stays lower. If I don't drop my weight, the ball pops up high, resulting in an easy kill for my opponent. A high ball is useless, no matter how much spin is on it. The opponent can just smash it down. And you don't drop your weight after the serve. That's pointless. You have to lower your center of gravity during the serve. Think about it, which is more powerful? Hitting down with just your arm, or your whole body dropping into the shot with your arm? The body adds a combining force. When your body and arm move down together, you create a powerful combined force. You must use your body to generate maximum force into the ball. And this body movement isn't a slow drop. It's an explosive action, like a hip drive. It's a sharp thump. It's not a lazy, gentle lowering of your body. That's useless. The rhythm is explosive and fast. A slow drop is too soft and will also ruin your recovery for the next shot. Another big mistake is rotating your waist. If you rotate your waist, you dissipate all your power. For a left side spin, you only slightly open your body and then drive forward and down. You should lift your hip upward, rather than pulling it back and rotating. Look, start in a crouched position, then lift your hip as you backswing. And finally drive your hip down as you make contact with the ball. You're not rotating side to side, that's for a regular stroke, not a serve. Once your arm reaches its limit, the rest of the power comes from the body. That's why pros get so low. When we were training, we would stomp our foot so hard it would go numb. Imagine a special effect: you stomp, and energy shoots up from the ground. At the same time, your upper body presses down. These two forces collide. Add your arm's force to that collision point. Energy up from the stomp, energy down from the body press, energy forward from the arm, all meeting the falling ball. How can it not be spinny? This is why you must learn to stomp your left foot. At one professional match, a player stomped so hard that the spectator benches were vibrating. The power professional athletes generate from the ground is immense. This is what we call power from the ground. Without that sharp stomp, you can't transfer that energy upwards. You don't have to stomp that hard, but you must stomp. Many players say they're not used to it, and that's a key reason their serve lacks power. If you can't use your body weight press, you can't combine forces. If your body feels comfortable, you're doing it wrong. Your legs should be burning. Your core should be tight. And your upper body should feel strained from leaning forward. That's the correct feeling. So remember, stomp the foot to send power up. Press the body down with a sharp motion to send power down. Combine this with contacting the ball low, in front of your core. This is how you combine all forces for the serve. The ball will have incredible spin. Your body and arm must converge on a single point. This applies to all side spin serves.